Machine applique. It's a pretty neat process. The machine does all the work. And if you've ever tried to go around an applique, well, the machine does it perfectly. Now this is the Brother Stellaire. It's connected to a scan and cut with a connection feature called My Connection. And that makes the Stellaire have more features and the scan and cut has more features. In fact, I took the big lettering from the scan and cut and I made it into an applique in the machine. You got to see how this works. I'm doing some big lettering on a pretty cool quilt. I'm Cathy. This is Sewing Tech Talk. Let's get started with some big lettering with My Connection. So I pieced this quilt and I wanted some big fancy applique letters in a bold red. I'm going to say reach for the stars. So there are some big letters built into the Stellaires. There's some regular fonts that you just kind of type in. I'm going to use that for the but my reach and my stars, I wanted something big and bold. And like I said, there's some larger letters that are in embroidery. And now the Stellaire, because it has My Connection with the scan and cut, can take the built-in designs or any designs that you get actually and change certain parts of them to applique. So let's take a look at some of those big fonts. I didn't really decide to use them. I decided to use some on the scan and cut. But let me show you what I was looking for on the Stellaire. So when I go home, I put this in memory so we can come back to it. Under embroidery, I have some regular fonts and then I have these very large ones. And they're very nice. This one was very nice. I liked that one. But it was too fancy. I wanted something kind of whimsical and kind of comical. This would have been good. And the size of them, let's see what the size of them are. Let's see stars, S. Now that S was 5 by 4, and that's a pretty good size, but I wanted something kind of bolder. So when I hit set, I could have taken this and I could have kind of made it into an applique. When I come into edit, if I wanted this letter, I could have come into here. Because the Stellaire has My Connection, I have applique patch for selected colors. That means when I choose this, I can choose the S, and then that stitching in the middle, when I go next, it could create an applique out of it. And if I hit preview, well, it just kind of doesn't work because some of this is kind of too small. So that kind of really didn't work for what I wanted. So return, that's really kind of not what I wanted. So what happens is I went into we'll delete this because that's not really what I was shooting for. When I have My Connection with the Stellaire and the scan and cut, all the designs that are built into the scan and cut, not ones that you scan, but the ones that are built in, can actually come over and be used as artwork in the My Design Center. So you can create your own design. So that's kind of what I did. So let's go to My Design Center. And I'll show you the letters that I brought in from the scan and cut. The scan and cut has some really pretty fonts. And I sent some of them over. If you come into the Shapes tab, now I have the icon that shows the scan and cut. And this is some of the shapes that I've sent over. It's looking for other different ones that I've sent. Notice I had a couple different S's that I kind of chose from. You can even have, there's really built-in words into the scan and cut. So I had happy, peace, all kinds of different fun shapes that I've sent in. I had used this S. And so that's what I used for my lettering. So let's choose that one. I'm going to say OK. Now in My Design Center, you can create an applique without My Connection. You take the design through several passes. So that means I have to create the basic outline. So when you do machine applique, you just do a placement stitch, then you do that one again, and that one's called the cutting, and you need to set a certain color for the scan and cut to recognize that. And then you need to do the satin stitch or zigzag stitch or something around the outside edge. Now the Stellaire with My Connection can do that automatically, which is pretty cool, but it needs some stitches to do that too. So basically for my S, what I want to do is I want to make the interior of that into a fill stitch, even though I'm not going to use that. So I'm going to take the bucket and touch inside the S to create like fill stitches on the inside there. Now, the function on the machine, it can actually also add that zigzag stitch around the outside edge. So I don't even need to do it in my design center. So I'm going to make this a no-sew line because I'm going to add it later. Okay. Now I'm going to tell the machine that that's the one I want around the outside edge, which means I don't want anything. And then when I go next, I should only have that stitching on the inside. Perfect. That's what I'm shooting for. When I hit preview and OK, it's going to send it off, show me what it's going to be, and sends it to the land of embroidery. Cool. Now, because of my connection, I have a special function like I showed you with that other one. If I come to edit and I touch that, it's the shield. It's been there for a long time. And traditionally, if I touch applique patch, it just puts a zigzag stitching around the outside of the S, and it'd be kind of the shape of the S. If I select applique patch for selected colors, I can take that fabric, that thread stitching on the inside, I'm going to select it. Now when I go next, what it's going to do, it's going to give me options for that to be the patch. I think I want a satin stitch around the outside edge of that, and I don't really have any inside parts, but it would select those if I chose. Now I'm going to set my satin stitch the way I like it, and I've kind of come up with some numbers that I like. I've written them down because I don't want to forget them between all the different letters that I have to create. And that reminds me, when you send a design, a shape, a file, some artwork from the Scan and Cut, you're going to send them over pretty much one at a time, especially if you're doing letters. Why? Well, what happens is it sends them into the machine, and you have to receive them into the machine because it goes to the cloud and then it comes back down. So if I was to send an S and then send a T, well, the T would replace the S unless I pull that S in before I send the T. Does that sound complicated? Well, it's really not. It's just kind of one thing will replace the other. But if it does, don't worry. I have a handout for this in all of my videos. And it takes you through this process step by step. And if you don't have my connection, I have other videos that take you through that process with either my Design Center or IQ Designer 2. Let's make it set the way I want it. I kind of like a width of 0.0100. Okay. And I like a density of 101.6. Whoops, I went past it. There we go. Now I've set everything what I want. Now when I hit preview, what it's going to do is it's going to make that S automatically into an applique. Sweet, right? And when I hit next, well, it's given me all the different parts of a machine applique. There's the cutting. That's the color Q for the Scan and Cut to cut it. Then it has material, which means it's setting it down. Then it's having to have setting to go around the outside of it, and a special zigzag around the outside edge. Pretty cool, right? Now, if I don't need anything, well, basically, I'm going to cut this out with the Scan and Cut. So I basically don't need this setting right here because I don't have to go around and cut it out after the machine set it. So I can select that and say, I don't want you to do that. Okay. Now, I have my applique design ready to go. What's even cooler, if I touch memory, it's going to send this automatically to the Scan and Cut. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to send this off to the Scan and Cut, and then over at the Scan and Cut, we're going to receive it and cut out my perfect applique piece. I'll see you there. So I cut out my S for the start of my stars. And I actually cut out the last S as well. I already started a little bit. I cut it out. I pulled the paper back. Oh, here's the other S. Here's my second S for the back of my stars. So it's cut out. It perfectly fits. So I went ahead, pulled the backing off, and when I did that first run, look at the screen, I did this first run to show me the perfect placement. And that's what it looks like. And I already stitched that out, so we'll go past that. And then the next color is that placement, and it's going to stitch it down. Well, I think I've already done that, but let's do it again. And then we'll do that zigzag stitch on the very end to finish it. Now, this process, pretty fast and easy, right? The machine cuts, the scan and cut cuts it out perfectly, and my embroidery applique, well, it turns out perfect pretty much every time. So I finished appliquing my S, and it looks pretty good, right? Okay, now, what I'm going to do, I have to add the other S, but let's go ahead and put the for the in the middle of my reach for the stars. And I'm just going to use that with regular font built into the machine, like the ones I showed you before. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I want to show you another way to place it on in, which is kind of fun. In the center of my reach and stars, I just and did a chalk line, right? So I know the angle it needs to be, and I kind of know the center as well. So let's bring in for the. So okay, let's go back home. Okay, in embroidery, let's just bring in one of those regular fonts. I really should have thought about which one I need before. I want something that's kind of fun. This one looks kind of fun. Well, it looks kind of bold. Let's try this one though. I think that might be fun. Now I want lowercase for the, so I'm going to select lowercase f. I like the way that looks. O-R space the. T-H-E. Now it doesn't have to be really big, but I think I'll see it on the machine when I set it on in. So let's set it on in. Now the neat thing about the fonts that are built into the machine is you get them in large, medium, and small, but you can scale them up. Pretty cool, and it recalculates the stitches automatically for those fonts. So let's see. I'm going to rotate them, because I know I need to do that for the placement in my quilt. And let's just make them a little bit bigger. I think that's going to work. That's pretty good. Now, let's see if we can kind of find out what they're going to fit. I'm going to say okay. Now I can kind of guess. I'm going to move them on up so that I can see that the center of it's going to be right there on my chalk line. Okay, in embroidery, let's bring in that W plus and have a light shining down to see where that is. Let's see. That kind of works, but now let's see how big it is, because what we have is a trial feature, and it's going to go around the letters to see, kind of basically where they're going to be. So I'm going to hit trial, and I'm going to have the little red light go around where my letters are going to be. That. They could be a little bit bigger, and I could go ahead and change that. Now I really want to make sure I place them on that chalk line. So I have a placement feature. When I touch this, it's going to put the to the original position. But I'm going to tell the machine that I want to place the center there, and I want to go this way to make sure I have it perfectly lined up, because my chalk line is straight. I want to make the words are too. So when I hit next, the machine's going to show me that this is basically what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say next. I'm going to put that, I need to move that line. Next, and I'm going to move that down just a little bit. So it's changed the angle and it's placed my for the right in the center. Set. And I don't know if you can see it. It's a very slight angle, but you could see it if I hadn't did that on my finished quilt. Let's do that trial again just to make sure. Okay, so the machine has really helped me place it perfectly. Now when I bid my reach and stars, I just use that 5x7 hoop and I kind of put them at jaunty angles. Just it's kind of fun, but you also don't have to worry too much about placement. So the Stellaire helped me do automatic applique when it was connected to the scan and cut, and has lots of features to make sure I put my embroidery in the right place. All I have to do is my for the, and I got to put an S on the end of my stars. I'm going to shoot it off to George. Thanks for watching me today. There's all kinds of fun features on this Stellaire. And the cool thing is, if you want to say something big on your quilts, or on anything, this machine is really going to help you out.
Thanks, Cathy. That was an incredible presentation. And so let's go over the special offer we have on the Brother Stellaire series. So we have the XJ2, which is their combination sewing and embroidery, and the XE2, which is dedicated embroidery. They both share the same embroidery features, which is a large 9.5 by 14 inch embroidery area with over 780 built-in embroidery designs, and of them, over 100 of them are Disney. It also has over 30 fonts and large, beautiful monograms. And with the fonts, you can edit in all kinds of arrangements. You can arc, you can array, you can even cut and paste and kern it in some custom ways. Speaking of customization, you can take a design and do an automatic applique around it. And with the matrix copy, you can copy this very quickly to make patches. And if we had the scan and cut, we can actually send it to the scan and cut out those patches, and then embroider them beautifully. An additional advanced technology is a new 2-point laser positioning. I can take something like a name and position it perfectly on a line. I can use it to do multiple hoopings and match them perfectly. I can even use it for edge-to-edge quilting. Now, part of what the Stellaire series offers is a special relationship with the scan and cut. They actually can marry together, so I can send an applique design right from my machine and it will cut it out perfectly for beautiful applique. But better yet, I can send a design from my scan and cut and turn it into embroidery. It also unlocks a new feature where I can choose one of the colors of my design, whether if it's a built-in design, I can choose that and turn it into applique. But let's take that heart that I sent over. I turn it into embroidery. I select the color, and now it's applique. Now let's bring over the third part of the piece. I want to create my own fabric, and I can do that with Print Moda. I took an image of a rose and I arranged it just in a beautiful kaleidoscope of color. And I printed that fabric and placed it on in the scan and cut. I took my design I created on the Stellaire from the scan and cut, sent it over to the scan and cut it out, and I have one complete embroidery design created with that trifecta of creativity. Now the XJ2 also is a sewing machine, and it has a large 11.25 inch opening, beautiful lighting. It has 760 built-in stitches, from quilting stitches to applique to utility. It even has automatic stippling and some beautiful decorative stitches that are very, very wide. It also has an automatic 1/4 inch feature which moves the needle over a 1/4 inch from the foot, and you can use the laser guidance it has on there so you can just do some beautiful piecing. It also has amazing fabric control with an automatic fabric sensor. And this gives you the ability to sense multiple layers like in denim, or if I want to sew on some sheer fabric like this tricot, I can do that beautifully. Or even working with elastics, it handles the fabric beautifully. If it's even more extreme, we can add the digital dual feed. This is a belt-driven feed system that gives perfect contact on the fabric. And so you see here with this marine vinyl, there's no slippage. I also can use it with such things as minky, which is hard to sew with, and of course, quilting. For more information on this incredible product, click on the link to see our current special offer. You can email us at customerservice@moores-sew.com or call us at 1-800-865-9664.